Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to be going over why it's important to choose your first Milsim very carefully. Now I do want to say straight away, if you didn't see the disclaimer in that intro, please don't message any of those people in the screenshots. They were just there to provide some examples for you guys of the certain things I've run into in Milsim, and some of the things that you could run into, which I'll be covering over in this video. So yeah, please don't message them. They were just examples, okay? You don't need to get involved in that whatsoever, so please don't do that. Anyway, so let me get into my first part. Now, spying. So, in Milsim, for some reason, I really don't know why, but a lot of units will spy on each other. Now, the reason they do it can be for a multitude of reasons. It can be to find out training, to see how to beat them, find out their tactics, different things like that. But overall, at least on PlayStation, I don't know about PC or Xbox, but on PlayStation, specifically on Battlefield, I don't know if there are any other Milsim communities in different games on Battlefield, on PlayStation, but spying is banned. Like, completely banned. If you do it, you will probably just be blacklisted, and really no one will really do anything with you, unless they obviously like spying as well and they're okay with it. Then they'll probably do stuff with you, but overall it's pretty shunned. People don't like interacting with those that spy, because that means that they'll probably do other shady stuff and rather toxic stuff. But what you'll want to look into is if this Milsim has had a past or a history of doing spying, because it does link into the other points, but it's overall just making sure that the unit you're joining is actually a mature unit, because it is important to know what unit you are joining and what you're getting yourself into, because that will impact your entire opinion on Milsim. And even if that's just like, on PC, you've joined a PC unit on Armor or something, and they haven't been so good, they've been pretty toxic, and then you get a PlayStation, and then you see Battlefield Milsim's on there, you'll probably think, oh, well, Milsim on PC was pretty bad, these guys are probably going to be pretty bad as well, seeing as that's what Milsim's like. So that is why it's important to make sure that the first unit you join, you really analyze it, and you make sure that they aren't bad, which is why spying is really quite important, to make sure that you are looking at that, asking around, seeing if you've heard of these guys or if they've done anything bad from loads of other Milsims, and maybe even their members, if you are able to contact their members and see if they have heard anything about their leaders approving that kind of stuff. Now, kind of linking into spying as well is internal recruitment. Now, if you don't know what internal recruitment is, it's like poaching. I know a few other units, things like that, or communities use the term poaching. It is where you take other Milsims or other communities, either Milsims or members, out of their groups and try and take them for yourself. And that is just, it's number one, it's incredibly scummy, because that person, if it's a Milsim, has probably really worked hard to get those get those members with recruiting and everything like that. Spent time, building up friendships and relations with them and everything like that. And majority of the time, they won't go away. The guys that are getting internal recruit will say no to the person that's trying to do it to them. But it's still just incredibly annoying, because it's still something that does occasionally happen, and people do occasionally take other people's members, especially if they are new members as well, which are new to Milsim. So if you're also new to Milsim, make sure that once you've joined a unit, you're staying with that unit until you decide to leave it. Don't just go off with another person if they ask to recruit you, because that just isn't on. Because Milsim has either spent time recruiting you and then training you and putting you through the tryouts. So it's disrespectful. So you should just stay with them unless there's a serious issue and you really just don't want to be in that unit anymore. So yeah, internal recruitment is also a thing that you will want to find out to see. You'll probably be able to find out easily if you've been told that they've been spying and they have a history of spying. You'll probably be able to find out if they have done internal recruitment before pretty easily, because whoever's telling you that will probably tell you that as well. But any of those two things is really important. Should be two of the biggest red flags that you shouldn't be joining a unit like that. Now, another one, which is a little bit kind of, this one you can kind of have your, It isn't terrible, but it's something that you should still look out for, but it isn't as bad as the beginning too, is bad sportsmanship. Now, bad sportsmanship isn't, obviously, people are going to get angry if they lose. It just happens. In sports and things like that, it happens as well. Teams going against, football, American football, or soccer, and soccer as well. Just all different sports. The teams get angry at each other and they say, oh, I cheated or whatever. It just happens. So that's to be expected. But it's when they take it a step further, right? And then, actually believe properly that the other Milsim cheated, and then you ask them if there's any evidence and they don't provide it, and then they start spreading false rumors. That is a problem. And if you are in an op with a Milsim, you've just joined a Milsim, and they're doing that, and you know the rules, and you know that the other team haven't cheated, and you know that they haven't done anything, and your leader or your Milsim is in the wrong, you should leave that unit. Because that is not on. You don't want to be in an environment of which because in the future you may become a Milsim unit, right? You may, Milsim leader. You may make your own Milsim after, say, a year or maybe even a few months of being a Milsim. You might want to make your own unit. And if you've been in a unit of which, it's your first Milsim, that you've seen that, spying's okay, internal recruitment's okay, and then bad sportsmanship of, saying, oh, they cheated, and then say, oh, no, it's just I was angry, it's just in the moment, right? That's fine. That's fine. If they turn around and say, no, I was just angry, whatever, I was a bit salty, but that's fine. But if they genuinely, properly believe it, and they continue to say it, and you're trying to talk to them as a mature conversation, and they can't provide any evidence, and they still believe it, and they still can't provide any evidence for it, then that is a problem. And if you believe that, all these things are okay, and you take that to a new unit you make, and then you pull new people in, and then you are teaching them that, then all the new people that are coming into your community or your group, all right, are going to be taught that that's okay, and then they're going to probably maybe in a year or whatever go and make their own units, and they'll teach new people, and then eventually we'll have loads and loads of people that just think this is okay. So also, Milsim leaders, if you're watching this is why it's important to make sure that you get these things nailed down, because if you don't, you're teaching your members, which may become Milsim leaders in the future, that it isn't right. And if we're going to make Milsim a large staple of Battlefield and make it a really massive part of the Battlefield community, and maybe even its own acknowledged kind of play style on Battlefield, and we can work with the developers possibly, then we need to make sure that we try and tidy this up. I believe it's every Milsim leader's responsibility to make sure that these things are sorted. So yeah, that's really the three main points I wanted to get nailed down. There are a few others, but the first two I would say are the most important. The third one with bad sportsmanship, that really just depends on the situation, to be honest. That can always just depend on whether they were salty, but you'll be able to tell if they genuinely believe it and they can't provide any evidence and they haven't just turned around after a few days and said, no, that's just salt, whatever, then that is the issue there. But another thing I want to say is, as I said a second ago, picking the wrong unit will really affect your overall opinion on Milsim, because if you just have first impressions are always the most important thing, and if you go into something new and then you see that they're just being completely toxic and different things like that, either to each other in their own unit, towards you once you've joined, maybe towards new members or whatever, there's bullying, there's racism, or whatever it could be, then you need to, first of all, I'll give my advice in a second of how to try and counteract that, but you just need to leave that unit, okay? Don't let that be your overall opinion on Milsim, okay? Because my advice now is, what I would say is, before you join a Milsim, if you are new to Milsim and you want to get into it, before you join Milsim, pick three units. If you want to join a German Milsim, that's fine. If there's 3 German Milsims, just pick 3 German Milsims, right? If there aren't 3 German Milsims, you can just pick a German Milsim, an Allied Milsim, and then another one. Make sure you've picked 3 Milsim units, right? And then what you can do from there is you can join a Milsim unit, see how it is, see if it's to your liking. If it's really good and it's really fine, then that's fine. Take the other 2 units out of the equation. Don't think of joining them, right? Unless that Milsim that you're into spats. But don't think of joining them. You found your Milsim, it's all good, right? But if you join the Milsim and it isn't good at all, they're toxic, they are just completely rude or whatever, but there's loads of bullying, racism or something, then just leave that, and then you have two other options, right? Once you run out of those three options, then maybe at that point, I would say you may need to either try, if you want to stick with Milsim, find another unit, or at that point, if you leave Milsim, you abandon it, I wouldn't blame you, to be honest. After 3 attempts of trying to find 3 units that could work for you, I completely understand if you abandon Milsim at that point. I would try and persuade you and push you to try and find another one, or even make your own. But if you can't find anything that is comfortable for you after 3 tries, then I don't blame you for, giving up. But another way to counteract this is by also asking the leader what the average age is in that unit, his age as well. Even though not always age isn't always a thing that is terrible, because I've seen younger Milsim leaders that are actually very, very good. So don't let if a Milsim leader is like 14 or 15, don't let that be your decision. Oh, I'm not joining that if you're massively older than them, because they can actually be very, very good. So just make sure that you keep it in account, because there's a possibility that it could be immature, but you should still give that a go if you can, because they might not be actually that bad. Okay, so that one is, again, depends on the kind of person that they are. But looking at age and the average age, if they're all like 10 or 11, right, then I really wouldn't recommend joining a unit if you're like 18 or something or above, like, or even 16. Joining a unit full of 10 or 11-year-olds, wouldn't recommend that at all, because the likelihood is they're not going to really be experienced, disciplined, they're just going to be all over the place. You can still give it a shot if you really want to. Personally, I won't recommend that, and I'll go and try and join the other 2 Milsims that you have on your list. You should also look at the Milsim leader's experience, see how experienced they are in Milsim, if they're new, if they've done it for a year, years, or whatever, however many years or however many months. You'll want to get that nailed down, and you're asking all these three units that you're interested in each. Write down the pros and cons of each and see which one you're going to try first, then second if the first one doesn't go well, and then third if the second one doesn't go well. And just make a list and a tier of which one you're going to go for first. Size as well is also important, because that means how how dedicated they are to the unit and to actually keeping it up and everything like that. Also, I recommend looking at the Milsim's content and what they produce, such as operation videos and things like that. That is also important as well, so you can see an insight into their unit, how they interact with each other, and just in general what they do, so then you can see if it actually fits with what you're interested in. Anyway guys, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. That's just a quick kind of bits of advice I can put down for you. As I said, it's important to choose the right Milsim as your first unit. Hopefully this has helped you. If you're interested in getting into Milsim, I'd recommend joining my community. The Discord link will be in the description, and I'll see you in the next one.